Well, thank you, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today, here to discuss Happy or Not. And thanks to Arnaud and the SAS team for having us all here. So with that, I'll just jump right in. So a little bit about myself. I'm the third-string punter for the San Francisco 49ers. All right, just kidding. I'm the Vice President of Strategy Analytics for the San Francisco 49ers. So what does that actually mean? Well, I work on 4 key things. I work on our business intelligence, CRM, and analytics. We have 22 different streams of data flowing into our data warehouse so that we can fulfill a customer 360 and understand more about our fans. Number 2, we manage our concessions and retail experience. Those are 2 key points of a fan satisfaction on a game day, and we help to ensure that our fan has a great experience and that we can generate sufficient revenue to keep the stores open. Next, we expand our brand through partnerships and investments. So this might look like something. We are opening a gym called 49ers Fit in a couple months. We've opened up a few physical therapy clinics over the last several months. And most recently, we purchased the largest high school sports network in the country, Cal High Sports Network. Finally, last but not least, we work to improve our fan experience. And that's what we'll talk about right now. So I'll start back in 2013 and review our survey process. So at that point, we really just conducted a survey that was produced by the NFL. The NFL calls it the Voice of the Fan. This is the same survey for all 32 teams. What this means is it's great to have this survey to compare yourself against your peers. So you can look at areas of your game day performance, such as concessions or retail or technology, and say, hey, we're a top quartile team or we're a bottom quartile team across these categories. However, as you can imagine, a survey developed for 32 teams doesn't provide the level of detail or specificity that you might need to help improve your fans' experience. So at the end of that season, we decided to develop our own survey. So in 2014, we developed our own survey. Our survey netted 31,000 responses. So if we look back here real quick, we had 5,000 responses in the year before. So already a 5 to 6 times increase in our number of responses from our fans. That was something great, and we were very excited by that. That report was pretty detailed. The Voice of the Fan was 2 pages. We now are at 15 pages. We were very excited about that as well. And we had 109 bar charts throughout this. So if we think about our organization and the amount of data we produce for them, we thought we were doing a pretty good job. We met weekly with our stakeholders every Wednesday. So if you follow the NFL, you'll understand that we play mostly on Sundays. So 3 days after that, we would develop a report for our key stakeholders. It wasn't until the last meeting, though, that we developed a key insight. So I was talking to our director of IT, Jim Bartholomew, and he's a pretty sarcastic guy. And I looked at the scores and said, hey, Jim, our Wi-Fi scores are pretty low within our building. You should go fix that. So he responds to me, okay, great. Which one of the 1,500 Wi-Fi access points would you like me to fix? That was a pretty big light bulb moment for me, and I said, hey, we need to redo our surveys. So if I fast forward to 2015 and 2016, we now went from 15 pages to 64 pages in our survey responses. Really detailed analysis for our key stakeholders. We also made it more visual. So now that our key stakeholders didn't have to sit through 109 bar charts and get bored with all the different data that we were showing them, we now had some pretty pictures in here for them. We also gave them maps so that they could help provide the location and specificity that they need. So if I look back here, this is our entry, so the 4 different gates that we work off of. And then on the right-hand side, we have our parking lots. So you can start to see patterns that might emerge due to different traffic patterns that could create issues within our parking lots. In addition, we're able to do it by seat. This is a graph right here that shows it to you by section of our stadium. You can assess things like overall fan satisfaction or volume by seat. Now, this was something that was pretty important for us, volume by seat, because we have one set of speakers that flow from our south side of our stadium to the north side of our stadium. So it's pretty challenging to actually get the right volume and the right clarity for our fans. So this is a map that really helped us out in that realm. If I think about the end of 2016, something that we're really proud of is how did we do? So what's the purpose of doing all these focus groups and these surveys? It's really to help improve our fans' experience. So if I look back at 2015 and 2016, we made over 100 different improvements across all these 6 different areas in our stadium. That's something that I'm very proud of, and I know that our key executives are very proud of, all the fan enhancements that we're able to make so that our fans can truly have the best experience possible. However, at the end of the 2016 season, our president, Al Guido, came to me and said, hey, Moon, these surveys are great. I really like the effort that you're putting in here. Can you get these reports to us sooner? So as I highlighted, we were developing these reports by Wednesday after Sunday. So I said, okay, Al, maybe I can redo this. If I redo some workflows, I can get it to you by Tuesday. I looked at him, and he didn't look very happy with me. And I said, okay, Al, I can really rework things and push the team really hard, and I'll get it to you by Monday night. And I could still see the look on his face, and he was not happy. So I said, Al, when do you want those reports? And he said, in real time. And I said, that's going to be very impossible. I don't know if we can do that. But if I fast forward a couple weeks later, I was actually visiting Sarah here in New York, and on my way back from the airport, I ran into a Happy or Not kiosk. How many people here have seen a Happy or Not kiosk before? Okay, so that's probably about 10% of you, so not too many. These kiosks were developed in Europe, in Sweden, and they really just have 4 buttons on them. There's 2 smiley faces and 2 frowny faces. And the kiosk will just ask you one simple question. How is your screening experience today? I've seen them in a lot of airports, and my question there was, how is your TSA line today? And you can just simply push one of the buttons. The beauty of Happy or Not is actually its simplicity. So you generate a lot of customer feedback by virtue of just having one touch point that a fan can hit. So if I look at 2017, we received 220,000 responses that year on these Happy or Not kiosks. And this is a good picture of what it actually looks like in a question that we ask. So we ask, how was your concessions experience today? And our fans are pushing those buttons. They're pushing them at record levels. The first day that we deployed them, Happy or Not actually gave us a phone call. And they said, you just broke our record for most impressions in a single day on your first day of deployment. We had received 18,000 responses in our first game. And that was really exhilarating. It showed us that we were onto something. If I look back at that first day, we were developing reports every 15 minutes now. And we were able to take those reports and send them to stakeholders and say, hey, these stands or these screening areas have specific problems. We should look into them. When I look back at that season, though, one thing that I really wanted was to do it in real time. So we went from giving reports the Wednesday after to developing every 15 minutes a separate report for our stakeholders. Definitely a big improvement, but I was still searching for real time. So these are the reports that we're getting every 15 minutes, and I wanted to just show you some of the questions that we did ask. So 280,000 responses over the last 1.5 seasons. So how was your concessions experience? How was your guest service experience? How was your parking experience? Please rate the cleanliness of this restroom. So as you can see, very simple questions, just one question, no follow-up necessary, but the power of it is the large number of responses that you're able to address in real time. So if I'm looking at this past season, what we're able to do is move on from the 15-minute reports to actually developing a mobile app. So we developed a mobile application that sits on top of Happy or Not, and they developed these alerts for us. So this is a real-time alert. This is actually a screenshot from my phone right here. And what you can see is, you can see the stand name. So I'm not sure if you can quite read that, but it says Frank's 3129. So Frank's 3129 is a stand, Frank's stand, on our 3rd floor in section 129. What you can also see is the threshold. So I've set the threshold at if over 30% of people hit a negative response, so hit one of those 2 red buttons, I'd like to know. At the same time, I also wanted to make sure that the number of responses was high. So I didn't get an alert every time the first person hit a negative response. So I set the threshold to be at least 15 people. So this one right here is 18. So you see the percentage of people is 50%, 18 out of 36 people hit a negative response. So what we do from here then is we can take some actions on this. We can mark it as acknowledged and say, hey, we acknowledge this alert, or we can take no action. In the ideal world, we'll mark it as acknowledged. And then it opens up a text thread. So now I can work with all of my key stakeholders and say, hey, what's going on with this stand right here? You can see right here that I've set the number of users to be 7 different users, and all these individuals are very important to understanding and solving the actual problem that will occur. So I think the first question everyone asks me, though, is, but this doesn't tell me what the exact issue is. You're simply just asking how their concessions experience is. You're right. But with over 600 point of sales in our building and 50 restrooms, it's pretty difficult for one manager or one GM to determine what's going on within the building. There's 60,000 fans within our building, so we really need something to help point us to the right places so that we can address these issues. What we tell our stakeholders is we say, just go and visit the area. If you go visit the stand, I'm sure that you're going to be able to figure out what can happen in under 1 minute. And the reason why is because it's not just one person telling us that there's something wrong with the stand. It's dozens of people that are telling us that something's wrong with the stand. So I'll walk through some actual use cases of what this actually means. So these are 3 different cases up here that I have that are actual cases from this year. So one is, we were low on hot dog buns. So one of the stands, 3129, again, ran out of hot dog buns, and our fan satisfaction was pretty low. We were able to adjust this in real time, and within 15 minutes, we started to see much more positive scores. So again, able to improve our fan satisfaction in real time. Something simple in the restrooms. We had toilets clogged. So something that one restroom manager might not have been able to address, but now that we're pointing him in the right direction, he walks into the bathroom and sees that 3 toilets are clogged, and he can fix that. The last one, our screening experience. Coming into the stadium is very important. How many people here have had a bad experience going into a stadium? All right, so that's about 30% of you have had a bad experience. We like to make sure that our fans can get into our building in under 6 minutes. So if our fans cannot get into our building in under 6 minutes, we want to redeploy staff. And this is what this alert helps us to do. So we noticed that there was some people that were unhappy coming into our stadium, and we were able to redeploy some staff from areas of our building that had pretty high satisfaction and had a lot of staff to this area so that we can improve those scores. If you'd like to know where they are throughout our entire building, we tend to focus on concessions and retail because those are 2 areas that are really important for our fan satisfaction. Outside of that, we do have them at our guest service stands within our suites so that we can understand how our suite holders are doing. And then lastly, at our security entry gates. So where do we go from here? This is a pretty important visual right here. What you can see is that during our wins, our fan satisfaction is overall at 78%. Our bar that we'd like to achieve is 80%. So overall, we feel like we're doing pretty good there. However, if you look at the losses, we're at 61%. It's a 17% difference in a fan satisfaction level purely based on team performance. Suddenly, the hot dogs are hotter, the beers are colder, it's a nice and sunny day when our team wins. But that doesn't help me. I want to be able to filter out all this noise, because if I have to adjust every time for our team's performance, that's going to be challenging. And I want to know exactly where the issues are. So we're about 1 year away from doing this, but what we can do is we can start to monitor how our stands are performing and how our fans are hitting the kiosks in real time. So I'll click this in a second for a video, but what I want you to look at right here is on this side, you can see that we lost 40-10 to the Dallas Cowboys. So our fans are not going to be very happy there. On the other side, we beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 44-33. So one other thing to notice about this is that some of the dots are red, and generally red means bad. That means a fan is not satisfied. And green means that they're happy. So if I click here, you'll start to see the scores go in real time. So you can see both of them are green right now. Fans are pretty happy. As you start to see on this side right here, a little bit more red pops up. Fans are starting to become a little bit unhappier. Same exact time frame on the other side. Fans are pretty happy when we're winning. Now when you see we start to lose now you start to see it really go red. So our fans are becoming a lot more disgruntled and not as happy. And the goal of doing this is to actually just filter out the team performance so that we can address real issues in real time. And with that, I'll kick it over to Dustin and Sarah.